Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be taking you through my top 5 picks of the best 5 full face helmets for 2026. Let's take a look. Now, when it comes to motorcycle helmets, the full face helmet is of course the most famous type. Now that's not without good reason, because the full face helmet is also the safest type of motorcycle helmet, and that's why you only see these helmets when it comes to motorcycle racing and of course MotoGP. The helmet shell consists of one piece, which of course is different when it comes to a modular helmet. A modular helmet has a movable, or in some case removable, chin part, which of course is not part of the shell. And an open face helmet is missing the chin bar altogether. So for that reason, the full face helmet offers the best all-round protection, and we're going to be taking a look at the 5 top picks for 2026. But first, I just want to tell you about the similarities and a couple of differences between these lids. Now, all of these helmets come with a Pinlock anti-fog lens, and to be fair, any helmet that takes itself seriously should have one of those nowadays. All of these helmets are of course ECE certified, which means they are legal for use on the road in Europe and some places outside of Europe, and they are all prepared for the installation of a Bluetooth communications system. Now, all of these helmets at a first glance look similar to each other, with exception of the Tour X5 by Arai, but apart from that they do look similar, but all of the purposes and all of the intended uses for these helmets are slightly different, so that's what we're going to be talking about in a few moments. But let's see, where shall we start? This one. The AGV K7. Now, AGV of course is very well known from the motorsports world and very much famous for their Valentino Rossi designs. This helmet is a Valentino Rossi design, which you can see on the side and very clearly on the back over here, but that's not what we're here to talk about today, because we're talking about this model in general. Now, this model might be the best all-rounder in the lineup. It won't break the bank, it's fairly lightweight, it's a sporty helmet, but it's made for the sport tour rider, so I wouldn't say necessarily this is a high-speed helmet, but it has the high-speed look and feel and just general good aerodynamics to ride at higher speeds, but not to go racing with. To be fair, I wouldn't go racing with this anyway, because it doesn't have the D-rings at the bottom, and in some cases that is a must at the track. Now, the thing that shows you that this helmet is not really made as a racing helmet, even though it looks a bit like one, is that it has an internal sun visor, which I very much like, but obviously doesn't really fit the characteristics of a racing helmet. Now, something else I really like about this helmet is the way that the visor locks into position. If we close it like so, you can hear it with a definite click, and you have to push this button over here to actually lift up the visor. Now, when you lift it up, it stays in the ventilation lock mode, which means that there is a crack of air coming through here, but that the visor won't blow open and suddenly let loads of wind and bugs into your face and vision. So that's a great feature, and also present on a number of different AGV models. Now, as I already said, for most people this helmet should not break the bank. That being said, you are getting quite a lot of bang for your buck, as the Americans say. The lining, however, doesn't feel as luxurious as, for example, the Shoei helmet in the lineup or the Arai helmet, but it is a very comfortable lining, and the shape of the helmet is fairly oval, but it is quite a specific oval shape, so it might not fit everybody. But to be fair, those are the only 2 downsides I can see when looking at this helmet. It has great ventilation and, like I said, very good value for money. Next up is the Shark Skwal i3. Now, apart from it being a quality Shark helmet, it does look at first glance like a run-of-the-mill typical full-face helmet. And it is in some ways, but in other ways it's quite special. Now, one of the things that I very much like about this helmet, it has a sun visor, but it is silky smooth. If you run it down, there's a switch on the top over here, a slider I should say. If you run it down, I mean, just listen to that. Yeah, that's beautiful. It really is silky smooth. Some of the sun visors, even on more expensive models, are quite clunky, but this one, I'll just do it again. Yeah, pretty good. The only thing I don't like about it is that the slider is on the top and not on the side, which is just easier to reach. And from personal experience, because I have had helmets with this on top, and to be fair, when you're on the motorway or something like that, when you just want to do your sun visor really quickly, sometimes your hand gets blown back by the wind, which is a bit annoying. But then again, not the end of the world, and this is doable, and you will get used to it very, very swiftly. But I would have just preferred it to be down there. Then again, then it might not have been so silky smooth. Like that. Now, other than that, there isn't really that much to tell you about this helmet, other than, of course, the standard things. Like I said, there's a pin lock in the box, it's prepared for a communications system. It's a fairly basic helmet, but it does have one thing that stands out from the rest, and stands out from all helmets, really, and that is the following. It has lights inside. Now, when you turn these on, at first nothing happens, and there's a reason for that. There are 3 modes. The first mode is basically off, well, not really off, but off until you brake. So when you're braking, the rear lights come on. Depending on how hard you brake, they come on faster or a little bit slower, to indicate that you are actually braking quite steadily. So this is the first mode. It's turned off until you start braking. But the middle mode is that the front lights are turned on, and the rear lights are turned on. Obviously, the same applies when you brake, they start flashing, and then there is a flashing mode, so that they just continuously flash. So that's a very, very clever feature, because for this price point, there isn't any other helmet that has something like this. And if you want to install this on your own helmet, that's possible, but you'll need a separate accessory, such as the brake-free brake light, which is a light that you can stick on the back of your helmet. And by doing so, you can do the same thing as with this helmet, except it is a much larger brake light and will be even more visible than the Shark Skwal i3. But then again, like I said, at this price point, it's a very, very good feature, and it really makes the helmet stand out, and that's why it is in the lineup. Number 3 is the Shoei XR2 Air Carbon helmet. Again, a helmet that looks very sporty, and to some extent, of course, is, but still is aimed mainly at the sport tour riders. Now again, we have a helmet with a internal sun visor, which is located on the left ear, so to speak, and if it comes down too far and hits you on the nose, if your nose is maybe larger than average, then there is a little switch here. If you tick that to one side, it comes down a little bit less, which is a nice feature to have, something that we're seeing on quite a few helmets nowadays. Now, the visor itself, the sun visor, isn't as silky smooth as on the Shark helmet, but the outer visor is pretty smooth. Listen to this. Very nice to operate. The other thing that I like about this helmet is that it has the air fit. Now, it says that already in the name, the Shoei XR2 Air Carbon. On the inside behind the chin curtain, there is a little pump, and if you pump it up, it ensures tighter fit around the face. And then you press this button and it lets all the air back out. So basically, the helmet is easier to put on, then you can pump it up, tighter fit, let the air out, and it's easier again to take off. Very nice feature, and something we're seeing on Scorpion helmets quite a lot, but not on other helmets really, so it's quite a unique feature to Scorpion. Now, the helmet itself has an intermediate oval fit, leaning over to oval a little bit more. Comfortable helmet to wear, and of course very lightweight due to the carbon outer shell. Now, this helmet doesn't really need an introduction, but I still have to tell you which one it is, and it is the Shoei NXR2, also known as the RF1400 in the States. A helmet with excellent aerodynamics that you can use on the road and of course on the track, a fact that is further proven by the double D-ring, something that was not present on any of the previous helmets, and depending on which track you frequent, the double D-rings are typically mandatory. Now, not only does the helmet perform very, very well at high speeds, it's also one of the quieter full-face helmets and of course prepared for a communication system. Now, on top of all that, you can custom fit your NXR2 with the Shoei Personal Fitting System. It's not something you can do at home, you need to come and visit us in one of our shops, but we can measure your head in 4 different ways, enter the data into Shoei's computer system, and then generate an adjustment and then add that to the helmet to make sure that the helmet fits you even better. A very nice service and something that is not available on the other helmets in this lineup. So this is the smallest and most stable helmet in the lineup. The only thing that can be a shame for some people is that it does not have an internal sun visor. It's not a big problem though, because you can get a dark outer visor or even a photochromic visor, which means that it actually changes from transparent to dark depending on the strength of the UV light. And last but certainly not least, the Arai Tour X5 helmet. A helmet that stands apart from the crowd mainly because it is an adventure off-road helmet and the other ones are aimed at sport touring riders. Now obviously this helmet clearly has the adjustable peak, which is completely removable as well, and under that we see a very large visor with great viewing angles. The helmet has very, very ample ventilation and the comfort of the helmet is out of this world. It's a very comfortable helmet that you will be able to wear for a long time, and I'm talking about days on end. So if you're going to be traveling around the world, going on and off the road, this is an absolute great helmet to be wearing for that purpose. Obviously you can wear it for short rides as well, but it does its best job when you're wearing it for a long time, and that is something you will notice when riding with cheaper helmets, that the comfort is not always on par with something like this. Now that being said, the helmet is pretty big, pretty bulky, and it's not at all a quiet helmet. Moreover, it's the most expensive one in the lineup, so it does have a couple of downsides, but then again, if you do have the money to spare and you can spend it on something like this, you can't really go wrong if you're going to be traveling or going off-road. Things like that. Great helmet, very comfortable, and will serve you well for years. Well, that pretty much wraps it all up. That's the whole kit and caboodle. Thank you very much for watching our video on the 5 best full face helmets of 2026. I hope that you learned something new, or now at least have a better idea which of these helmets could or possibly could not be the best one for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and of course hit the thumbs up button. Much obliged. Check out all the different colours and models at photomoto.com, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you and cheerio.